So we saw Avengers Infinity War, the culmination of 10 years of storytelling from Marvel Cinematic Universe Productions, or Marvel Studios, and not including the TV shows or shorts. But anyways, now let's take a look at what it was based off of. The Infinity Gauntlet. So, okay, I am not well versed in the Marvel Universe of 616. It's a very complicated thing I can't really explain. We got, and there are a lot more characters due to, in the movie world, there are licenses and whatnot, yada yada yada. So we got Adam Warlock, who's scheduled to show up in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, the Silver Surfer, who is currently owned by Fox, but soon will be owned by Disney if their plans go through. We got Mephisto, the Devil, who ended the Mary Jane Watson and Spider-Man romance as a married couple because Spider-Man it can't be an adult because we need to have an escapist fantasy for them. But that's a completely different subject, and I refuse to read that comic. But I will look at the excuses one day. We got even some of the cosmic forces like Eternity, which I found out is the living embodiment of the universe. And I'm like, wait, so if I killed Eternity, does that mean I killed the universe? If so, then I think the job went well. And the Living Tribunal, which is an entity with authority over Eternity and the Infinity Gems, as they're called in the comics, instead of Infinity Stones. So, yeah. And a lot of the elements from the movie is played from the comic, like overpopulation, except there's this one major thing why Thanos is collecting these gems. I'm just going to call them stones because I'm used to calling them the Infinity Stones. Here's the thing. Thanos... Okay, so from when I was reading it, Titan is still alive. There are still people on Titan. Which means that his motive to destroy his population, because when the movie he had motive because his people died from overpopulation, and his suggestion was to kill half of it. This version of Thanos instead is not only believing that there are too much in the universe, no, he's tasked by the Mistress of Death, aka Mistress Death, and primarily, Thanos wants to fuck her. Okay, I know a lot of people like this comic, but that's the one aspect I was like, there's a word to describe it. What was it? It starts with an N. Like Thanos wants to date the embodiment of death, and at the time she's a skeleton, or a, quote, beautiful woman. In fact, every time I looked at her, I just kept thinking, like, is that Raven from Teen Titans of DC Universe? She looks a little bit like Raven. But that's a completely different subject. Yeah. You want to date, and subsequently sleep with the Mistress of Death. I'm still on the opinion that might be considered necrophilia, but that's a completely different subject. So, yeah, I kind of like the Thanos of the MCU because at least there's a more legitimate reason other than, I wish to impress a woman who may not be death as well, but that's a different subject. But I could see how, like, in the MCU, it was said by Kevin, I believe, in an interview where he said that they were going to bring the Mistress of Death and let her play as a woman in the future MCU movies, but she never showed up, so I don't think that's the motive for Thanos. If they did do that, I would be kind of disappointed because Thanos has layers and whatnot, but part of it would be diluted because he wants to date the Mistress of Death. Also, Mephisto, like I said, I do not like him already because of the whole, let's break up Mary Jane and Peter Parker because editorial mandate and the fact that fans won't gravitate towards an older Peter Parker. So yeah, what was happening here was, other than the overpopulation thing, we got all this buildup of how Thanos would go on this mission for her, doing this whole, okay, I need you to correct the imbalance of this overpopulation issue by killing half of it, which is going to be pretty hard because there are no Infinity Gauntlet yet. So, yeah, he decides to do the Infinity Stone hunt, and he doesn't do it like in the movie. He actually uses his wit, intelligence, and whatnot, and from what I've seen, it seems like he doesn't have as much care for people, like, specifically what he does to Nebula. So, after he gets all the stones and believes he's God, he returns to Mistress Death, who is now no longer looking at him or even refuses to talk to him. Yeah, he partially did this just to impress Death and say, I am your equal! But then it's revealed that, you're not. You see, how do I put this? You're superior. Therefore, we can't get together. Much to Thanos' anger. So he does multiple things in order to do it. Fulfill his objective, that failed. Make statues in her name, and a building in her name, a shrine, oh, that failed. Bring Nebula back put Nebula in a charred, limbo, disturbing state, leaving her alive yet dead in a torturous agony. And that still doesn't work. Kill Mistress Death's speaker. Yeah, that failed miserably. Get into a temper tantrum that wipes out entire systems and destroys a Trump building, which I'm pretty sure all the people who want to kill Trump and hate his mortal guts because of recent events are going to be happy seeing that in a comic that was made in the 90s. So, moving on from politics. And the sinking of Japan. This comic is from the 90s, right? Because considering what happened to Japan a few years back, I am a little surprised they put that in there. Yeah, it's just weird. But moving on, also the Scrolling Kree, they're about to go to war because Thanos just snaps his fingers and causing the whole half of the universe thing. And the Scrolling Kree are like, it is clearly our enemies. To war! And we're going to see that in Captain Marvel. Yeah. We also got cosmic entities Galactus and Eon, the embodiments of love and hate, Adam Warlock, and virtually a lot of characters are dead. Also, Thanos, in order to try and impress his beloved Mistress of Death, decides to create... Okay, how do I explain this? It basically feels like she's a gender-swapped version of him. Terexia. And I'm thinking... Thanos, what do you create in your spare time? Behold! I created my original character! She's a gender-swap version of me and will seek to pleasure me in every way possible, and it doesn't sound like I'm doing very asexual about it. Am I? Most likely, yes. So, as Doctor Strange gathers Earth's heroes with the help of Adam Warlock and yada yada yada, it turns out Adam Warlock, you're sacrificial lamb to me, so go out there and die for me, please. Die for Thanos' sins! Yeah. And basically, Thanos kicks their ass, even after Mephisto convinces him to limit his own power and let them attack as a way to prove his bravery to Mistress Death. Yeah. And... and to recover the Infinity Gauntlet that fails miserably on numerous occasions, Doctor Doom being all, I am Doom! I will become God, even though I failed to become God last time in Secret Wars! And probably 8 other times in the comics. And... then he decides to fight the cosmic forces. And that ends horribly bad, as in, he defeats them. And he becomes the living embodiment of the universe. Yeah, that did not end well, did it? And then, throughout all this, we got actually kind of subtle when you think about it. Now you would know, that's going to happen, but back then it'd be kind of surprising. Nebula is constantly in the background, and then it's revealed that she takes the Infinity Gauntlet after Thanos' body is left in this dead state since he becomes the embodiment of the universe. Still. And then she basically takes the Infinity Gauntlet, goes crazy because she was in a state of mental insanity and now gone even more crazy with omnipotence. And yeah, then Adam Warlock explains to Thanos that through his bond with the Soul Stone, he was able to examine Thanos' soul while Thanos was in control of the gem. When Adam Warlock decides to get Thanos' help to stop Nebula from, going crazy. And here's the best way to describe it. This Thanos apparently sets himself up to fail. Like he's unworthy of power. Okay. And because of this, he apparently is subconsciously, purposely failing because he doesn't feel worthy. Well, considering he failed to impress a woman with it, I'm pretty sure that's not going to work either. So Thanos agrees to help Warlock, Doctor Strange, and the Silver Surfer oppose Nebula. And Thanos uses the reverse psychology to trick Nebula into restoring everything back to it was before he began using the Infinity Gauntlet. That doesn't work out so well, as the cosmic entities are now free and who quickly attack her, but she defeats them. Warlock returns to the Soul World and uses his connection to the gem to create disharmony between the other gems, causing Nebula pain and the Infinity Gauntlet, and assumes the gauntlet for himself, under the rule of finders keepers, losers weepers. And then Thanos activates a thermonuclear weapon, tries to kill himself, and then reveals he faked his death, living a life of quietness as a farmer. Yeah, have you noticed something odd? The part where Thanos is in this restful place where he's just deciding to live a more quiet life in a backwater planet, and he's just tending to the gardens and the soil. Yeah, that's the vibe I was getting when I saw the ending to Infinity War. After Thanos had, killed half the universe and 16 characters. Yeah, I counted. Thanos goes to this weird place on another planet and smiles with content like, I did it. Now it's time to rest. Yeah, turns out I think that might have been his farm. Like he's been I'd be a little interested that he was secretly setting this up during his grand crusade, awaiting the day when he would prepare to retire and live a life of quietness. Yeah, we all know that's not going to work out so well. And okay. Here's the thing. I like this story, but there are some issues I have, primarily because of Thanos' motives. Probably because of my love for the MCU, where it tries to get rid of stuff that might be considered questionable and tries to make it more relatable. Like Thanos, okay, considering the fact that he made Nebula, who is only claimed to be the daughter of Thanos, not a legitimate adopted daughter, and doesn't turn her into a robotic cybernetic torture machine and then torture her in the movie. It's just this, I don't like the idea of Thanos partially doing this to impress the Mistress of Death. It's just weird for me. But I did like it for the most part. The artwork's great. Turns out I found out George Perez did half of the artwork, and another guy, let me see what his name was, Ron Lim took over after George Perez couldn't finish. George Perez, if you're not familiar with him, created the artwork for the Crisis on Infinite Earths. I hope to one day finish that if I'm able to, but that's going to probably take a lot longer. So, yeah. I did like Infinity Gauntlet. Like I said, I don't like the idea of Thanos partially doing these mass murdering just to impress a girl. It's just weird for me and kind of makes me glad Marvel didn't do that for the MCU, because making Thanos more relatable, albeit doing horrible things in order to achieve his relatability and psychoticness, I was like, yeah, I don't like to see Thanos partially get down on his knees and say, "I will do as you please, Mistress Death." I like the more tragic story of Thanos. Like, he once believed this, and then he tried to prove it right, and then he's ultimately proven right, even though he really didn't want to be proven right, and how he feels pain and suffering when he has to kill his daughter, his adopted daughter, Gamora, to get the Soul Stone. So yeah, I like that makes it more human-like. We feel more human with him. We don't agree with him. You have more chances of agreeing with Killmonger before you agree with Thanos. So yeah. Anyways, I also wanted to also remember. I was trying to remember something else. Mephisto acts as an advisor, but is actually manipulating Thanos towards his defeat. Yeah, and I'm still wondering, like, wait, how is he the devil in the One More Day thing? But if he's a version of Entity, then why does he do this? Like, he's acting like the devil, except he's not a complete devil. He's not Satan. He's Mephisto. Okay, I really don't get it. I am not well versed in Marvel Comics lore, so I probably will be forgetting things, and also there are retcons changing every single second. So, yeah, anyways. But these cosmic characters we see in the comic, they are said to be eventually be part of the MCU, probably after the Thanos story arc, and when they finally bring in Adam Warlock for Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Also, Adam Warlock's character in the comics is a little bit different. He was created on Earth by scientists to construct the perfect human. But while that, in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, he's created by a race of gold people. I kind of forgot what their species name was. So, yeah, and okay, I'm still confused with the embodiment of the universe eternity. I'm just like, wait, what? So, what would happen if we killed Eternity? Because in Infinity War, the comic that came out after the sequel to Infinity Gauntlet, yeah, it's gonna get confusing, isn't it? The Eternity is left in a catatonic state, and I'm like, wait, then shouldn't they have killed everybody or put them in a catatonic state? Yeah. I'm like, really confused with this. But yeah, Thanos was okay. The MCU Thanos versus the Marvel version, the comic version of Thanos. It's just like they're similar yet very different in their motives. Like, Thanos in the comics does have a mix of the overpopulation statement but also has that negative obsession to please the embodiment of death, who looks very much like Raven from Teen Titans, but like I said, that's a different subject. And Thanos in the movies is driven by the fact of tragedy. I don't know, I just like the movie version of him better. So, yeah. And also, this comic does give helpful hints of where Avengers 4 could go. I'm still on the opinion that it's going to be a time travel movie. But I get the feeling, not Nebula or Adam Warlock, because he won't show up until Guardians of the Galaxy 3, but like, I'm thinking like the Soul Gem might have something to do with what happened to all of our heroes in half the universe. Since the Soul Gem the Soul Stone could transfer someone to a, quote, heavenly paradise. So is that where all the heroes that got killed go to? Like, we see this younger Gamora speaking to Thanos, asking what it cost him, and he just says everything. So I'm thinking, like, so is that where all the heroes are? They're trapped in the stone, with the exception of Loki, because he is dead. So yeah, and I'm just like wondering that part, but yeah. And Doctor Doom, like, okay, he's kind of funny sometimes. I'm Doom! So, Yeah. Oh man. Okay, they did say that the Infinity Gauntlet prop with gems was included in the 2011 Thor movie as an Easter egg for fans before Marvel Studios decided that the Avengers films would adapt the Infinity Gauntlet. A post-credit scene in Age of Ultron shows Thanos with a gauntlet without gems, and one from Thor was revealed to be a fake from in Thor Ragnarok. Which I am still wondering is why the hell does Odin have that? Was he tricked? And wait, that doesn't even. Okay, now this is where a contradiction comes in for the MCU. If that's a fake, then who built the Infinity Gauntlet? Like, it was said that Peter Dinklage created it, but from what it sounds like he just recently did that. But we learned in the Age of Ultron, he's always had that gauntlet for something. So, like, did Thor not know about this horrible crisis? Because I'm just so confused by some of the dialogue in Thor and Age of Ultron with Thor Ragnarok and Infinity War. That still confuses me a bit. If you look back on the films, you'll start noticing this weird contradiction. Like, okay, they say that the Infinity Gauntlet was crafted by Peter Dinklage, but Peter Dinklage says that why wasn't Asgard or Thor protecting them? And Thor just says that Asgard was destroyed, and I was like, wait, but we seen the Infinity Gauntlet in Thor, which was a fake, and we also see it in Age of Ultron, so what exactly happened? Yeah, I really hope, and Kevin releases that timeline, because there are so many questions I need to know. So, yeah, Infinity Gauntlet is a great story. Yeah, those who see the movie might feel a little put off by the whole Thanos is trying to impress a woman partially. I can understand that. But, yeah. But it is a fun story, and I did enjoy it for the most part, so yeah, those were my thoughts on the Marvel's Infinity Gauntlet. This was Neo Reality Antenna. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and donate. Stay tuned for more.